Welcome to the Whole Couple Podcast, the space where entrepreneurial couples come to build thriving businesses and marriages.
We are your hosts, Dana and Adam, a couple who knows firsthand what it takes to grow a business while keeping love, connection, and purpose at the center of it all.
If you've ever wondered how to pursue your dreams together without sacrificing your relationships, you're in the right spot.
Each month, we're going to share stories, strategies, and real conversations with millionaire couples to help you navigate the highs and lows of being in the business with the person that you love most.
So, whether you're just starting out or scaling to new heights, we're here to guide and inspire you to create a life and business you love together. This is the Whole Couple Podcast. Let's dive in.
Hey guys, welcome to the show. Tim and Jen Winter, our friends, our family. I mean, they're not really family, but they feel like family, don't they?
They're our family.
The family, that's family.
Friends that become family.
Yeah. So we're excited to have you guys on the Whole Couple Podcast here. And the way we start off every show is we just ask you all to tell us a little bit about yourself. Well, now we know a lot about you guys because we've traveled with you to many countries and done a lot of great things with you, though. One country. Well, soon to be another country because we're going to go with him to the Amazon.
He's prophesying. He's saying you're going to be in the future many countries.
Share with the audience a little bit about you guys, yourselves.
Go ahead.
No, you start. Go ahead.
Oh, boy. Okay.
Ladies first.
Jen, Tim Winter. We are both born and raised in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Our proud Nittany Lion alumni. That's where we met and went to college. We're both Penn Staters. Met my sophomore, his freshman year of college. He likes to rub that in my face.
Older woman.
And dated all throughout college. Got married a month after graduation, and moved almost directly thereafter to Northern Virginia, where Tim had gotten a job. We weren't sure where we were going to land. Didn't want to stay in Pittsburgh, and kind of decided that if whoever got the job first, that's where we would go. So I was targeted to Florida, and he had an uncle that lived and was already working in Virginia. So he won because he had an uncle that gave him a job.
Well, now we split the difference. We're in South Carolina. So we went from Virginia to Florida, but now we're in the middle.
I'm slowly making my way.
True.
And now you guys are all about living in Charleston, right?
Yes, we moved here full-time in October. We're very happy to be here. Great community, great place to live and work, and obviously great friends. And we're just really happy to be here.
Yeah, yes. Love it. And then what are you guys doing now? Talk just a little bit about what each of you do today.
Yeah, so the job that Jen mentioned was I went to work for a national home builder. So we're in the construction, home building, residential real estate world. And we started our own business almost going into year 18 in 2025. So 18 years ago, and we've done all kinds of things, some development to specializing in custom homes, additions, renovations. We launched an architectural company 2 years ago so we can design projects as well for our clients. And a little bit of everything in the residential construction real estate space.
So he stayed consistent, and then I started in corporate America doing marketing for Fortune 500 firms, developing ad packages, things like that. And then 10 years ago, kind of was working with him doing his marketing for our business, and then we launched a nonprofit called Paradigm Foundation, which builds homes and gives back to the ultra poor around the world.
Love it. Yeah, and many people who will watch this and listen to this will probably at some point have heard about the trip that we took with you guys this past year. Our first family mission trip.
That's right.
Was to the Dominican Republic with you guys, and it was just, I actually had a lunch today, and I was telling her about it, and I was like, I'm trying to recruit people to go now. I'm like, everyone.
I was gonna say you guys do realize that we were like the top recruiters and one of the largest real estate franchises in the world. So we're gonna be recruiting a lot of people to these trips going forward.
Everyone's going.
Everyone's going.
We need the help. Bring it. Bring it, bring it. The more people we have, the more we can do. So we're excited.
It was just truly like the best experience ever.
It really was.
I mean, we still, and really, I think I told you this the other night, Jim, but even Amelia said it was the highlight of her year. Like of all the trips, of all the tennis tournaments, of all the things, of all the concerts, like I just loved that was it. I mean, she just couldn't wait to go back. It's been so cool.
That's awesome. Yeah. The hardest thing about those trips is just being intentional about finding the time to go. And then once people do, it really shifts a lot of perspective moving forward. So it's
I mean, and I know the name of the foundation is specific, though it really is a paradigm shift. I mean, you do have a paradigm shift by going to an event like that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And originally we named it that, because we wanted to give back through our business, and we wanted to align with our business. And there were a lot of like God winks that kind of led us to actually getting Paradigm Foundation, because another organization actually had the name. And so it allows us to like tie it into our business. It's a good storyteller for our clients of, hey, you work with us, you're also giving to a family around the world. So the synergy is really good.
Yeah, it's really good.
Love that. Okay, so first question. I know you guys kind of help like you both have the separate things, but you kind of do stuff together. But the first question that we had was, what strategies do you use to navigate conflict in both business and personal aspects of your partnership?
You want to go first?
Yeah.
Or is it going to be a conflict? This might be a conflict.
It could be. You never know.
Actually, you guys, Jen, before you answer, this is so funny. We had Linda and Jim McKissick yesterday, and when they got on, Linda said, I just want to warn you all that we've had a really bumpy morning so far.
We might have had the same thing.
So it's y'all. It's your fault.
It is our fault, honey.
It's the pressure
It
of
is
coming
a
on.
lot of pressure.
Linda and Jim were like, Linda's like, we've already had a really rough start. So to be honest, we don't really know how this is going to go today.
No, we can relate.
Jen was like, I think we need to cancel.
So listen, for all the listeners out there, it's okay to have conflict when you're married.
That's right. Conflict is okay.
With your spouse.
Yeah, but to answer your question, I guess I'll start with, we got married before our brains were fully formed. That's how young we were. So we've had to work through a lot of things. And so, conflict will always be present in any relationship that you have. But when you take two people into a marriage and you're bringing all the baggage and things from family life and just personal experiences, and then you're kind of combining those two things together, it's a recipe for disaster more often than not.
And then you throw two A-type personalities into the relationship, and that doesn't, seem to go well.
Yep.
Both people want to be in control.
Yeah. We know
some more so than others.
Nothing about that. So.
No.
And so we've done a lot of work personally, only with growth. In relationships, in our relationship personally, and counseling. We've done a ton of counseling. And we've done the couples Enneagram. I'm not sure if y'all have done that yet.
No, not the couples one.
But it's really good. So we call it the 1-2 punch. He's a 1. I'm a 2.
I'm a 1 and a 7. I'm a combo.
1-2 punch sounds better.
1-2 punch sounds better.
Wait, but is it different than the regular? Like, are you in the regular Enneagram? Is your number different? I guess is what I'm saying.
I don't think so.
No, they usually align pretty closely.
Okay.
Like
you were?
I was a 3.
I was a 3.
Oh, that's cool.
1, 2, 3. There's a 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, there you go.
That's why we get along so well. I'm sorry. Keep going.
And so he's also a 7, right? And I'm also a 4. So you skew between different ones. And so our primary ones were the 1-2. And so in looking at those, we've kind of learned our communication methods, our trigger. I hate the word trigger. I feel like it's a buzzword, but our triggers, how we just respond to things, how we function, how we thrive. And so in doing those things, I think we really learned how to
Yeah, and we're still learning that, because they also said with the 1 and the 2, sometimes there's even more conflict in the relationship. So, so it takes kind of work and effort and talking through things, and sometimes you just got to listen more than you speak, and make sure that you're putting yourself in their perspective and hearing things from their side of the Jen's side of the argument or conflict or whatever we've got going on. And sometimes it's hard, right? When you have your own ideas and opinions, and you think your way is right and she thinks her way is right, and somehow you get to a resolution, but sometimes it takes a little knockdown, drag out battle.
So looking at the Enneagram, and then also we've learned to look through each other's lenses of how we view life in general and how we view certain situations and scenarios.
Is it different? Do you both? Would you say you both look through the lens differently?
Very.
Oh, very.
Oh, yeah.
Very. And when you take the time to actually think about how that other person is looking through the lens, it kind of diffuses things rather quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So through doing that, and I think over communicating too, and that also goes into business, right? When you over communicate, hey, you said this and made me feel this way. Is this what you meant?
Yeah.
Or things like that. We've kind of tried to practice those things a lot.
Tim, I mean, we know you both really well. How would you say, from your perspective, Tim, when you want to fix things, right? You're a fixer, you're a problem solver, you're solution oriented. Though maybe sometimes Jen doesn't want you to fix anything, right? She just wants you to listen, but maybe you're not listening because you're already in fix-it mode. What do you do? What's your strategy there?
I feel like Adam's asking this for personal, selfish reasons.
I know where he's going with this too, because I know how he handles it.
Yeah, I've got a friend. I've got a friend that I work out with that needs to know this.
I need to take more of Adam's approach. I just try to fix the problem, and that's kind of even what started the conflict today. Jen was going on about some stuff, and I'm giving her solutions. She's like, I just want you to listen to me. I don't need you to solve this problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I just need some sympathy.
Mm-hmm. So Tim, no real strategies there to be a better listener?
Trying to. I mean, that's probably one of the things that I'm working on, to kind of make sure that, okay, is this something that I need to ask the question, do you want me to listen to this, or do you want me to help you fix the problem?
Yeah.
Or find you a solution. And because a lot of times when people come to me, it's, I tell everyone, I get paid to solve problems. That's what we do. And, sometimes, when you're in a relationship it's hard sometimes to discern the difference between, kind of a business or whatever the relationship is in more personal relationship, and saying, okay, I just need to shut up and listen.
That old acronym of the word wait. Why am I talking?
Yeah.
Right? That's good.
Okay, that's perfect. Okay, how do you guys divide roles and responsibilities within the businesses to ensure that both of your strengths are utilized? Ooh. And with that one, are you a multiplier, Tim, and Jen's a simplifier? I don't know. I would get maybe, or no. Do you know?
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I would think so too. Yeah, which actually is
perfect. In the clouds, and Jen's in the weeds.
Yeah, then yes, you're a multiplier and she's a simplifier.
I don't always want to be in the weeds, but I tend to be there a lot.
Yeah, usually that does work really well together, though, in business situations. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, because you got two different strengths, so when you can
right.
rely on that in the relationship, it gives you, it is like that 1-2 punch. It's that superpower that when I need something creative or something that needs reviewed, like anytime there's anything that needs copy written, Jen, can you proofread this? How's this sound? What does it look like?
The details.
She's in the details, and anytime she needs some direction and vision and what are we going to do, or how are we going to do this, that's usually where I
strategies.
Strategy. So we've got technically two businesses, so we work together through them. But initially Jen and I used to work together a lot more in the past. She started doing the marketing, and then she basically quit on me.
It's because you didn't let her talk. You didn't listen to anything.
Right, that was it.
My boss was not fun.
Yeah, well, that was the thing. I thought I was your boss. But since then, she's still there in a high level role. Like she's overseeing all the things that we do from a high level strategic marketing, and she's also there like from a kind of making sure planning, strategy. Employees. I mean, we interviewed an employee yesterday. Jen went to dinner with us just as a way to kind of, filter that relationship differently.
Yeah.
Everybody's my friend, so it's hard for me to hire sometimes. Everything sounds good. But she's really good at discerning, the right people. And then with the foundation, I mean, that's really, she leads that. And, early on, that was hard when we were both starting that. There was, it was hard for me to fall in line and kind of play second in command.
Yeah.
But since then, Jen's really taken that off and has been leading that. And it's great having her with that attention to detail in that foundation because it's really, she's very strategic, but also intentional, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, love that.
I think that, we've been married 23 years.
Yeah.
And together like
Great.
3 or 4 before that. So we're coming up on like almost 30 years together. And, you naturally at some point fall into a natural rhythm of, okay, this is where this person's going to pick up. This is where I can pick up.
Yeah.
You do still need to over communicate more often than not. But we have gotten in, I think, a good rhythm with both the foundation and the business of, who's going to do what. And then if we need, someone to pick up the slack in another spot, we just communicate that. So it's been pretty good.
What would you say, again, having grown in this business together, that you guys strategically do or intentionally do to protect your relationship?
It's a very good question.
I feel like Adam is going off script with the questions.
I might have jumped ahead, but I mean, it landed right here.
Yeah, it's good. We have allowed the business, and Tim, I think will agree with me, to dictate our relationship for a long time. And, now we recognize when that's happening because we argue more and there's not as much, intimacy and closeness, and some of the things that come naturally as far as communication get harder. So when we don't prioritize, us before the business, things just definitely naturally get harder.
Yeah. And it's important to set boundaries in a sense, no talking about work-related things, right before bed, or while you're, kind of getting ready for bed, because then, it's going to spiral one of us to go, oh man, I got to go back and finish that now, and you're not going to go to sleep. Or, setting a date night and being intentional about doing something instead of just throwing it, on the calendar. Being intentional is very important. Like setting a time, like yesterday or Tuesday, Jen wanted to go out and explore Crab Bank, and she knew I had to work. So she's like, what if you drive me out there and you can work on the boat, right? So it was a good trade-off.
Yeah.
She got to do what she needed to do, and I got to continue working.
Yeah.
Long after the work is done and gone, if you decide to ever retire, this is what's going to remain. And so if you're not pouring into one another and you're not continuing to grow together, you're going to grow apart. So if you're not being intentional in those kind of areas, it's a dangerous place to get from a marriage perspective.
Yeah, and I think it's important too to take time away. We travel a lot.
You all are so great at that, by the way. I feel like you all are some of the best people we know at that.
Yeah, and that helps. It's a good reset for us, and it's a good reset from the business. I mean, when you work a lot, we enjoy what we do, but it's good to get away and just kind of decompress.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's easier too. We don't have kids, so that makes it easier to get away.
Well, but speaking of the kids thing, I was just having a conversation with somebody, Jen, to your point, saying that they were kind of concerned because their last child is a senior right now, and she was just saying, like we've, everything has been about the kids. Mm-hmm. And now that the kids are gone, she was kind of confidentially saying, I feel like I'm looking up and being like, whoa, like, who are you? And like, what are we what are we going to do? And is this what we want to do? And so I think it's crazy. And then I had another conversation actually this week with someone who said that they feel like through work, like they've outgrown their spouse because of another thing you just said, which is they're not growing together.
That's right.
Even if, and Linda and Jim talked a lot about that yesterday, but even if you're not going to the same, like Tim and I actually went to an event, but I'm sure both of us came back and told Adam and Jen, like, all the stuff we learned, and, here's what we talked about.
Jen and I already knew that stuff. We didn't have to go. I mean, we wanted you guys to catch up.
We're not as smart as you two.
That's probably true.
No.
But I do think there is something to the growing together.
Yeah.
Because if one outgrows the other, then that's a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely.
Well, I mean, you can grow and develop on two different islands, and if you don't have a bridge between those two islands, you're gonna have a big old problem.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's you need to be intentional, like Tim said about the date nights. We try to do it every Wednesday. It's not possible every Wednesday, and there's some Wednesdays where it feels like we're just doing it to do it, which you don't want to do either. You want to enjoy spending the time together. So if you're tired or whatever, give yourself the grace to not do it. But it gets to be hard. So
do you have like when you go on your date nights, do you have like specific rules that you guys try to imply, maybe like no phones or no conversations about this? Is there any strategies you guys do there?
We try to. I mean, I try to leave my phone in the car, depending on what we're doing. Unfortunately, my phone's also my car key, so that's hard to do.
It is.
I need to figure out how to do that.
It gets annoying though, because every time you walk by, it's like beep 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 beep. Like even if you don't want to go into the car, it's like, here I
am. We had a situation like that. My amazing wife bought me a hot tub 2 years ago as a Christmas present, and I attempted to deem it an electronic-free zone, right? That was going to be our connection space, whether that was Dana and I or with the fam, the kids, and you did good there for a little while, honey. And then slowly but surely the phone started coming out, and so she was gone. She was gone away for a week or so doing her stuff, and so she came home, and I didn't take my phone out to the hot tub. This time I took a remote out there because I installed a 65-inch TV on the wall, and I got to be on the TV.
Yeah, it's hard. The other, like, maybe part of that reason is that your guys are always in the hot tub, so you got to mix it up. Like, go somewhere and do something else.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a good point.
That's a great point, Jen. Mm-hmm. Great point.
One of the things that we have found, and I've communicated to Tim, is that, like, it's great that you're planning these Wednesday date nights, but, like, going out to eat every Wednesday ends up not becoming a date night. It becomes, like, our restaurant night out.
Yeah.
So, as married people, you still need to pursue one another. And when it becomes a habit of just hanging out at the, extra time of being in the hot tub or going to a restaurant, there's still not any pursuing happening. And you guys are more recently married, but you don't keep that up, it gets to be stale.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. What's been one of the most challenging decisions that you all have made as a couple, and what did you learn from it?
There's so many.
This is actually one of the ones we were thinking a lot about.
Do you know what I thought that you would say? I thought you would have a quick answer.
Okay, what would you say?
I thought that you would say the move.
Yeah, I did too.
The move. No, I've been wanting out of Northern Virginia for a long time.
That's been an easy decision.
I knew that I wanted that. I didn't know if that's what God wanted for me. So that's what I really struggled with, was not that what I wanted, but if that's really what God wanted for me, because I didn't want to misstep.
Yeah.
But
I think, as far as the business goes, it's just been like the growth, how quickly to grow, where to take it.
Yeah, we've had I mean, just trying to think through different strategic, positions that we've done. There's not one that sticks out to me. It's like, oh, this was the one that I learned the most from. I feel like it's just constant little challenges that like you learn and you grow from. We've had some big ones here in the last a couple legal battles and things that are always fun and drag you down, and how do you navigate it? I mean, that was probably the most recent outside of the move, is like, do we just settle this and move on with our lives, which is what we ended up doing. But so just working through a lot of the little challenges sometimes might even be harder than the big one.
Yeah, I agree with that too. Yeah, absolutely. I actually want to end on the foundation. So I want to talk about, let's kind of move to faith a little bit, because you guys, I had been praying so hard for us to have really good friends in Charleston who were people of faith, and to continue to grow the community. And Jen, you and I have kind of joked about this, but I laugh now.
So you're the reason we're here?
It is.
Thank you.
Actually, Tim, it was on my one sheet. It was definitely on my one sheet.
But it's been interesting because now I laugh because I'm like, God has brought in so many great friendships for both of us of people of faith that we're like, oh my gosh, now it's this whole community. But I do want to talk. We look up to you guys in the faith space, and I do want to talk about that for a minute before we go to the foundation stuff. But what do you guys do as a couple to continually grow your faith?
Yeah.
And maybe just talk about the importance of it and anything else you want to share.
Yeah, I mean, I think we both individually spend a morning kind of quiet time where we'll get before the Lord individually and pray and do a devotion. And then depending on what's going on for the day, we'll sit down and, catch up for 10, 15 minutes. Hey, what did you learn today in your quiet time? And we'll pray together before we kind of get out the door and really start the day. It doesn't happen every day because it just depends on what the level of busyness is, but something that we try to do intentionally every night before we go to sleep. Again, it doesn't happen every night. We try to pray for 3 or 4 minutes together and just kind of wrap up the day and pray for God's peace and rest, all of those things.
I would say though that we both put our faith in Jesus before we got married, so we both had our faith kind of as we were exploring individually before we got married.
Yeah.
And so that was an important thing to both of us, and I think a non-negotiable when we got married.
That's good.
Yeah, sure.
That we were both looking for somebody else on the same faith base. And, with that and seeking the Lord and being in Scripture every day, all of those things really propel the relationship, because we decided and agreed, and it hasn't been easy, but in the very beginning that divorce wasn't an option.
Yeah.
And so I think that if we didn't have our faith, there have been many a times where we would probably not be together anymore. So our faith is really holistic, not only in our business and our ministry and our marriage. It really propels every aspect of our life. So it's really important to us.
Yeah, I love that.
That's
I
really
think
good.
that's so good because it's the foundation.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a building block upon everything that you do.
Yeah.
That's really, really good.
Yeah, I love it. Do you guys have time? This wasn't a pre-listed question, but now I'm going off script. Do you guys have time where you feel like maybe do you fluctuate where one of you might be stronger in your faith than the other, and you kind of help each other?
Mm-hmm. 1,000%.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Depending on what each person's going through, the time, it's one of those things where I'll give you an example. I've had a lot of challenges this past 12, 16 months, from some health stuff to, the business stuff, which you guys know a lot about.
Yeah.
We did this date night. I don't even know when it was. And we had these little card we pulled out.
It was last February.
Okay. She remembers. So we wrote these letters to each other.
Mm.
And in my Bible, which actually is right here.
Have you seen the date night boxes where I think we got you one.
You gave us
Valentine's Day. Yeah. So we were doing that box.
It was in my Bible.
Say that.
And I was like, what are these things? And one says tomorrow, one says today, one says in the future. And so I opened the future one up, and it was exactly what I needed to hear.
Oh, good.
and I've been reading it every day for the last month. But it's just one of those things, like, I'm in a season where I need some of that extra kind of spiritual encouragement and guidance. And, one of the things I like to say is today is one day closer to something great. And it's sitting right here. So I wrote this on Jen's, I don't know if you can see it.
Yep.
Yeah, I love it.
I wrote that on a sticky note, put it on Jen's mirror, and it's been on her mirror for a while. And about 2 months ago, she brought this. She's like, I think you need this.
He actually gave that to me in 2009 when I got laid off from my job, and I was kind of lost and not sure where to go. So, I've kept that a very long time.
Wow,
That's
I
incredible.
love that. Oh my gosh, I love that so much.
Yeah.
And honestly, you guys, like, don't you think that sometimes it's being intentional with the little things, like a little thing, like a Post-it note that you've kept since 2009?
Yeah.
Like that took you, Tim, like, not to devalue it, but probably like 3 seconds to write.
Right.
But you know what I mean? Like, you did it and you were intentional and you meant it and you thought about
That's
it.
right.
And it's been something that you've held on to for like over 15 years. Which is just incredible. It's like little things. We do that. We still have our hearts on our mirrors from Valentine's Day. And we have it on our bathroom mirrors, and we haven't wanted to take them down. Our cleaning lady's probably like, God, wish they'd take these hearts off this mirror. But it's just like little things like that I think sometimes people either, don't make the time to do or don't have the intentionality to do, but that can really go a long way.
Yeah.
1,000%.
For sure.
And I think that, in marriage or in relationships at this level, that, you're called to strengthen one another. The Lord says two becomes one in marriage. And so I think, doing things like that and stepping in the gap when the other person needs that help and that love and affirmation, that's a gift to have.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
It doesn't always happen perfectly, but
Yeah. No, I totally agree. Totally agree.
And that's the beauty of it. Perfect's relative, right? Perfect is the other one seeing it in the other and knowing that they need to be there for them at that moment in time.
Yeah.
2009, writing that on the Post-it note, that was the perfect time that was supposed to happen. And when Jen, when you gave it to Tim, that was the perfect time for that to happen. So that's so beautiful.
yeah.
Love it. Okay, so I really did want you guys to talk a little bit more about the foundation.
Yes.
And just because now, like, we are so passionate about it too, but what has it done for you specifically as a couple? And also then what advice would you give people who are looking to serve more? Because that's not anything that we've talked about yet really with anybody. And also because I just think there's a lot of power in serving and giving time together also. And so, I don't know, I just want you guys to talk a little bit about that.
Well, I know what it's going to do for us as a couple. I mean, you've always wanted to go to the Amazon. So, I mean, we're going to go to the Amazon.
I'm not getting out of this podcast without the Amazon.
We're going to the
And
Amazon.
honestly, you guys, when I think about the DR, I have so many beautiful memories, and then I have the memory of the 3-foot-long spider above my head the whole time I was painting.
That was a little one too. So
That was
yeah,
big.
when the kids came in and were like, "Oh, that's small," I was like, "Oh, okay."
yeah, we've seen some as big as your hand. So
Oh, my goodness.
yeah. So it's been a struggle with the creatures on the projects, but I don't even know where to start really with that question.
Well, I want to share an experience, Jen, that I had with you in the DR specific to this and set the tone. So we're driving back, and I think it was after the home dedication, and we're driving back, and you got emotional. And you said, I never really thought, and I'll paraphrase here, that this day would happen because not only did we dedicate a home in DR, another dedication was happening where? In Africa, right?
Right?
Kenya, yeah. And so on two separate continents, two separate worlds, your foundation was dedicating and changing lives for those that that needed it. And I've shared that story countless times about your impact and how you've been called to do this, and just truly the blessing that God has given to you guys to create this, and then the blessing that you guys are giving to so many other people that are in need of these things.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I think in that moment, what I was experiencing was the realization that this is so much bigger than me. And the goodness of God when you are obedient and say yes. I think about, where I was when God kind of gave me the vision and the passion and the idea for the ministry, and what would have happened if I would have went back and ignored it, or if I would have said no.
Yeah.
And the impact that, God can always use somebody else. He probably would have. But the blessing for us to be able to see God move, we have a front row seat of how he's using this ministry, and that is such a blessing. And so that's kind of where I think the emotion came from, was that sometimes, because I am in the weeds, that I lose track and I lose sight of actually what's happening. And, we might not be in Kenya, we might not be in Central African Republic, but things are God's still moving through the ministry in those places. And so I think that's where that emotion came from. But to Dana's question, I think, what was it that...
what's it done for you guys as a couple, and then what would you help tell other people about serving together?
I think that, you just need to be intentional about making the time and going, like you guys did at the beginning of the year last year. You had it on your board.
Yeah.
It's something that you set and you were intentional about it. I know I'm saying intentional a lot, but it's really key to a lot of things. And so if I hadn't been intentional about going on my first mission trip to the Dominican Republic, I wouldn't have been in the place where God gave me the vision to say yes, to then start that spiral of things. So I would say that if you're looking to serve, just start.
Yeah.
If you're a couple, I would probably say find something that is interesting to you both, because if one or the other fall off because they're not interested in what the mission is of the organization, it could cause some resentment if one's really passionate and the other one drops off. And so I would say, find something that for us, home building is a natural fit. It's our business. It's our day to day. Serving the poor is also a passion. So it kind of, goes together. So that works. But do you want to kind of share about how it's affected?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's using the strengths like we talked about before, being able to serve together in something that we're both passionate about, me with the home building and Jen with the generosity. I mean, Jen's got such a generous heart, giving heart, and God brought us together because he knew that although we have challenges and conflict, us together is better than separate. And once you punch. So I think that's what's been fun, is just, like Jen said, this is so much bigger than us than we ever, could have thought. And it's just been, almost, we're going into year 11 next year. And it's just the amount of places we've been, the travel, the families that have been impacted. And I think the thing for me is we'll never understand the true impact and the reach that this has, because it's going to impact generations. You go in and we meet a physical need, but it's so much more than that. It's how do we impact them in a spiritual need, and they'll still probably remain in impoverished, but spiritually free and alive once they get to meet Jesus, and they've got a future and eternity where they're going to have a different life, and it's just fun to be able to kind of see that, watch it grow. Go back and visit some of the families that we've seen over the last 10 years, and how their lives have changed, and how their kids' lives have changed, and how many have come to know the Lord and have grown in their faith. And so I think it's all about that. The core purpose of our business is to create a lasting impact, and the foundation is one of those vehicles that we use to create that impact. So we want to leave a legacy. How can we do that? We don't have kids, so this is our way to give back, pour into other families, and serve kids in a different way. And how can we leave a legacy?
Well, You think about the home that we experienced the dedication of. That was 4 generations in that house, right? Her father, the mother, the daughter, and then the grandchild.
Yeah.
I mean, all were going into this home that you all dedicated, and that was a very
That's probably abnormal, is it, for that many?
Yeah, I wouldn't say 4 generations, maybe 2 to 3 at one time, just because, those families don't have anywhere to live, so they tend to blend.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that was powerful.
I will say from a perspective of us doing it together, of course we took Addison and Amelia too, but I felt like it made us closer to really do it together. I mean, it was, I had been on mission trips before. It was important kind of for us to do it together as a family. And of course that was the outcome that I had prayed for, but it was just like, it really was. It was so special for the kids. It was great for us. It was probably great for you and the kids together. I mean, like all around, it just was so impactful. And in fact, today at lunch, I saw Lisa, and she said that they really want to go. Like, she's like, we really want to get a plane. We really want to go. And she said, but would you guys want to go somewhere else because you already did the DR? And I said, honestly, one of the best parts of it for us was like, I would love to go back and see some of the same people and see the progress from the house and, just be able to interact with them again and to see people that like I've prayed for since we've been there, to be able to go back. And I don't know. So it's interesting. Of course, you want to try new places too, but it just for us was so impactful. And we weren't even the people that, like, we were there to help bless them.
That's right.
But in turn, it blessed us so much from going.
What's neat to see too, from our kids' perspective, is so we did that one. Then with you guys, we served at Thanksgiving with the kids.
Oh yeah, see, I already forgot about that. I can't wait to get to Florida and go through every year we go through our camera rolls of the whole year, and we favorite our pictures. The John Maxwell lesson of like the most impactful and like special memories of the year. And that day would be one for me too.
Yeah. And then just here recently, and this is the point that I was making, is whether it's kids, adults, couples, that impact of serving it starts to go through you. And so we were shopping here recently, and I had Amelia and her girlfriend, and we were shopping downtown Charleston, and they had a few extra suckers in their pockets, and we walked by a homeless person, and without even thinking about it, Amelia pulls out a sucker and hands it to the homeless person, as if she was back in the DR.
Yeah.
And the only difference was
he didn't want
he
it.
didn't want the sucker. So she was actually saddened by the fact that he didn't want the sucker.
They called me, and she's like telling me, and she's like, and I was really sad he didn't want it. And Adam's like, okay, well, you don't need to be sad for it.
That's
it was probably just a different, He's like, I don't understand.
Yeah, but again, the point is that, again, couples serving, bringing family into serving, and the concept of it can really just start to impact you across the board.
Yeah, I think I shared with this on the trip, if not before the trip, but on the trip. But, people go with the intention of, I'm going to serve, I'm going to help, and I'm going to, like, change people and change the world. But more often than not, like, when you give back, you get so much more in return. And, that blip on your radar, some people may never go again. Some people may continue to go the rest of their lives, but it changes you, and it changes the better, and your worldview increases. And like Amelia, she was obedient, handed out the lollipop, even the guy didn't want it. She was still, living out the love that God has given her, and that's what we're called to do.
Yep.
Yeah, totally.
It's truly paradigm shifting.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. It really is. I'll say real quick, the biggest impact that I love that you guys did on this was the nightly recaps, or the recaps when we were coming back, and then at the end how we did a weekly recap. That was really special, of not just going through the process and being finished, though reflecting each day on the impact, on the feeling that you had, on even bringing scripture into it. That was really, really powerful.
It's important because it's, we go on these trips. And for us, it becomes work because, we're managing all the details and we're doing all of the things. But if you're just going through the motion throughout the day and you don't stop and think, like, going through the camera roll at the end of the year, you forget.
That's right.
And you either need to let those things sink in and deal with how they are making you feel, or you can just, not let them affect you. So.
Yes, I thought you were just setting me up there at the end to be a bumbling fool when I was trying to read mine and couldn't get a word out without tears coming down my face.
Oh, I love that. I love that. That shows God's working on you.
Jen, if somebody is watching and listening and they actually want more information about the foundation or the trips, what's the best way for them to reach out, or what should they do?
Yeah, so all of our trips, all of the information, former trips, people that we're serving right now, all of those things are included on our website at paradigmfoundation.org. And then we have a newsletter on the website you can sign up for to make sure you get things directly to your inbox. And then also we're on Facebook and Instagram, Paradigm Foundation. So we keep those two things up to date the most.
Yeah, I love to see. I love it. Well, this has been so great, so impactful. I know people are going to absolutely love learning from you all.
Yes.
And we just so appreciate your friendship and your family.
That's right.
Family.
We are family.
We love y'all so much that we will actually see you
in about 20 minutes at dinner.
Here in about an hour. At Nico. So good deal. Yep. Thank you all so much.
Appreciate
we love
you guys.
We love you. Thank you guys.
See you soon.